Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vedanu Daharate Jaganti Vahate Bhugolam Udbhibrate Daityang Daryate Baling Chalayate Kshatra Kshayam Kurvate Polaschang Jayate Halang Kaliyate Karunyam Atanvate Mlechan Murchayate Dashakriti Krite Krishnaya Tubhyam Namaha. O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you, who appear in the forms of these 10 incarnations. In the form of Matsya, you rescue the Vedas, and as Kurma, you bear the Mandara mountain on your back. As Varaha, you lift the earth with your tusk, and in the form of Narasimha, you tear open the chest of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu. In the form of Vamana, you trick the Daitya king Bali by asking him for only 3 steps of land, and then you take away the whole universe from him by expanding your steps. As Parashuram, you slay all the wicked Kshatriyas, and as Ramachandra, you conquer the Rakshasa king Ravana. In the form of Balaram, you carry a plough with which you subdue the wicked and draw toward you the river Yamuna. As Lord Buddha, you show compassion toward all the living beings suffering in this world. And at the end of the Kali Yuga, you appear as Kalki to bewilder the Malechas, degraded, low-class men. So, this is from the beginning of Gita Govinda of Jayadeva Goswami, who appeared before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in his Gita Govinda has depicted most intimate pastimes of Keshava, Krishna. He begins his Gita Govinda, this is just near the beginning of Gita Govinda, describing the 10 prominent avatars of the Lord. We have the word incarnation. It's, of course, Prabhupada used this word, but it's not such a good word because the etymological meaning is someone who has taken a body, but the very meaning of avatar is something different. The Lord, it's not that He assumes a body like we get a body, but He is Ajopi Sanavyayatma Bhutanam Ishvaropi Sanprakatim Swamadhishtaya Sambhavam Yamamayaya. He appears in every age out of His own mercy, His avatar, one who comes down, not that He takes a form as we do. So avatar, this takes various forms. Now, it's interesting that this Gita Govinda, this describes Krishna and Radha, very intimate pastimes, which moralists, worldly moralists, cannot accept that this is God. God is a very proper person. He tells us what to do, what is correct, what is not correct. So in Gita Govinda, Jayadeva Goswami, he doesn't go into any theology. That's already there in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vedanta Sutra. The theology is there. Gita Govinda is based on Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically the Ras Leela, the Radharani is leaving the Ras Leela. So it's an illumination of a pastime which is already there. So the moralists, they won't believe. Well, what is this? God is very moral. Why is He going with someone else? Apparently lusty affairs. So this will not be understood by materialists. Now, he introduces his Gita Govinda by giving this Dashavata Stotram, Saptapadi, in which he describes 10 prominent avatars. They're unlimited. Avataram hiya sankhayam, as Srimad Bhagavatam states. They're unlimited avatars. But these 10 are very famous in the world. And with the exception of Buddhadev, the ninth described here, who is anyway, his teachings are rejected by the Vaishnavas, by the theists, who taught atheism. With the exception of Buddhadev, the rationalists, empiricists, they cannot accept any of these descriptions. That first of all, God came as a fish, massive fish, was caught in the hands of the Satyavata Muni. Put his hand in the water, a little fish came. The fish said, "Can you look after me? I'm afraid that big fish are going to eat me." He said, "Okay." Took him home, put him in his goldfish bowl, and then became too big. So he put him in another body of water and another body of water. He was growing so quickly that eventually he had to put him in the ocean. Little fish, he was afraid of the big fish. And now he became the biggest fish anyone ever saw. So who will believe this? Such a big fish. Who will believe even the descriptions in the Bhagavatam? Timingala. Timi means whale, and Timingala means a big fish which swallows whales. Much bigger than Timingala is Matsya Avatar. Then Kurma Avatar. How will they accept God has become a tortoise? And on his back there's a mountain and they're pulling it. We're using a snake as a rope. Try saying that at your interfaith discussion. See what they say. Then Varahadev, now people are really going to get upset that he's come in the form of a pig. But this pig is prayed to. In Denmark, when I was here, there are more pigs than people. Is it still like that? It's pig loca. And even they have, even in two towns, they have a big, in the main thoroughfare, they have big, huge statue of pig. Which town is this? Two towns I saw that in. I can't remember which one. In Jutland, there are some two different places. Now you're more sophisticated in Copenhagen. You don't have statues of pigs. So the Lord has come as a pig. But what a pig. He comes out of the nose of Lord Brahma and picks up such a big pig. He puts his head down and picks up the earth planet on his tusk. Then we have the Lord coming as half man, half lion. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, even before him, Bhaktivinoda Thakur compared this to evolutionary theory. First of all, there's fish, and then it becomes like a semi-aquatic animal. Then it becomes a gross animal. Then half man, half lion. And then there's another, the half man, half lion. And then becomes a little man, Vamandev. And then he becomes an uncivilized man, Parashuram, goes around killing others. Then becomes very beautiful, attractive. Or then becomes very righteous man, Ramachandra. Then very beautiful, attractive, Balaram. Then philosophical man. And at the end, just all destruction. It all ends in destruction. So who will believe? Jayadev Goswami, he's writing this, he's not trying to say that you have to believe this. He's just accepted. Those who are listening, they know these stories. He's not telling the whole story. He's giving it very briefly. Just a summary. How much can you put in 2 lines? But those who have studied Srimad Bhagavatam and maybe other Puranas also, Nrsimha Purana, they'll get more information of the pastimes of Lord Nrsimha Dev. Then by hearing it, they'll remember. They'll remember and they'll become happy. Sukhadam, Shubhadam, and becomes auspicious in this bhavasaram, in this world of repeated birth and death. The only auspicious thing is hearing about the Supreme Lord in His wonderful incarnations, avatars. So today is celebrating the appearance of Lord Vamanadev, God is all good. That is an axiom. If he's not all good, then he's not God. We have faith, believe in God. We have faith that all others may fail us, but God will always protect us, look after us, care for us. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. The Supreme Absolute is all truth, all auspiciousness, and all beauty. And here we find Chalayasa. He's a cheat. He cheats Bali Maharaj. So this doesn't seem to fit. How can God cheat you? Everyone else will cheat you. But we come to God that when everyone else has cheated us, we come to Him and say, now I have no other shelter than you. You I can trust. But He did. It's a cheating process. Of course, His cheating is all auspicious. His killing is all auspicious. His stealing is all auspicious. Krishna is known as a thief. He stole butter. Regularly stealing. But he's worshipped for that. In very low class culture, then thieves may be brigands, they may be worshipped. There were some brothers, Cray brothers, I think about 10-15 years ago in London. They were the top criminals in London. Eventually the police shot them dead, and the whole of East London came out to offer respect at their funeral. They were heroes for being criminals. So, in some cultures that may be, but in high class culture, then the Lord comes to stop such people. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashayata dushkritam. He comes to destroy the bad people. But he himself, he's stealing, he's lying, he is dancing with others' wives, it seems. And here he's cheating. So who can understand that he's cheating? But this cheating is not like the cheating of the material world, in which one person cheats someone else for their own supposed benefit. But this so-called cheating, by taking away from Bali Maharaj everything that he had acquired, then Vamandev showed who's the actual proprietor. Actually, he didn't cheat him because everything belongs to him anyway. But the method of doing it appeared to be like cheating. He could have just taken it away. He could have come and said, here, I'm God and I'm taking it away. Bad luck to you. But he had some sport or some fun with his devotee, and at the same time showed the character of his devotee. What is the greatness of the character of Bali Maharaj? Because he became the proprietor of the heavenly planets by force, by power of his armies. He was able to overthrow the heavenly planets which Indradev had become the proprietor of, the supposed proprietor of. One becomes Indra after performing many austerities and pious activities, and Bali Maharaj just took it over by force. So he didn't follow the normal course of doing so, of taking over the heavenly planets, but according to the way the universe works, might makes right. And if one king can overcome another king, even in Vedic understanding, that's acceptable, because the king should be powerful. If he's not powerful enough to keep out someone else, then he's not fit to be king. Let the bigger king take over. And what usually happens is that the one who's being conquered in the Vedic system is not necessarily that they'll kill him, but he'll submit and he'll become a subordinate, a vassal king. That was the system. Maharaj Parikshit was Chakravarti, means king of kings. And there are many subordinate kings under him. So, king should be strong. Bali Maharaj became stronger than Indradev. Now he took over the heavenly planets and he was going to cement his position, bolster his position by performing sacrifices. Because actually one cannot become the king of heaven. You can't remain there without having the punya or the pious credits to do so. So usually you do the yagyas first and then you become Indra, but he was trying to do it around the other way. He took over the seat of Indra and then he wanted to perform the pious activities afterwards. So Vamanadev came to cheat him. He appeared on the horizon like another sun. It was so bright. Anyone who's spiritually advanced, they become very bright. So Vamanadev is the most spiritually advanced because he is the supreme spiritual truth himself. So he appeared very bright, Brahmana boy, and Bali Maharaj is very pleased to see him because the success of a sacrifice depends upon pleasing the Brahmanas. And just as the sacrifice is about to be performed, at the yagya, the king, he will give charity. So he was the king of the universe, so by force, but he'd got that role. So he was able to declare that if anyone comes to me at this time, means only Brahmanas will come. Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, they don't come. Only Brahmanas take charity. So if anyone comes to me at this time, I'll give them whatever they want. So by giving charity to the Brahmanas, one acquires punya, which will give material power, wealth, beauty. So when Vamanadev came, Bali Maharaj is very pleased. You might think, well, he's giving out charity, so he might hope that less Brahmanas come. So then he'll have more for himself. But the calculation was different. It was rather that the more come, the more I'll be able to give to them and serve them, and the more credit I will get. It's a good investment. You give to the Brahmanas and by their blessings you get more back. So when he saw Vamanadev, he was very happy because he could see that this Brahmana, by his effulgence, he's a very powerful Brahmana, he's very accomplished Brahmana. So by giving to such an accomplished Brahmana, I'll get very pious credits. So then Vamanadev came and said, yes, you're welcome, please come. What can I give you? You've come to my sacrifice, all the Brahmanas are coming, because they know it's time to receive charity. It's also their function to accept charity, to help the king. It's not that the king is helping them, but they help the king to acquire piety by accepting some dakshina. This word doesn't mean donation. It means an offering. It means an offering that one is fortunate to give, not that one who is receiving. Of course, if one's not a real Brahmana, he'll be greedy to take. But a real Brahmana just accepts for the sake of benefiting others. So Vamanadev said, what do you want? 3 steps of land by my own measurement. And he's only a tiny little boy. Bali Maharaj was disappointed. I wanted to give you so much, and then I'd get more credit for myself. And you only want to take 3 steps of land by your own measure. Actually, you're just a little boy. Let me give you a little advice. You see, anyone who comes to me should not have to go anywhere else begging. I'll give you whatever you need for your whole life, but 3 steps isn't enough. You should at least, I can give you a whole planetary system. What do you want? Just tell me. Take at least enough. But Vamanadev said, no, Brahmana shouldn't be greedy, shouldn't take more than he needs. And Shukracharya, by who's another Brahmana, by serving whom and pleasing whom, him and his family members, Bali Maharaj had become so powerful. told him, wait a minute. This is Vishnu. Now we're in trouble again. This Vishnu. I can keep the demons on top, but this Vishnu, first of all he came as Varaha and spoiled our plans, then he came as Nrsimha, and now he's come again. So he could recognize it. Just see, he was so powerful, he could recognize Vishnu. But even though he could recognize him, he had no love for him. He considered Vishnu an obstacle. We have prasadam? We have some prasadam?
No, I'm sorry, we have to leave because we don't. We have a
long way to go. Yeah, but
we promised to take care of our grandchild, and
but I'm saying we have some prasadam you can give.
Oh, then it doesn't.
No, prasadam does matter.
Yes, it does matter. I know, but not.
Please don't go without prasadam.
Okay. Sorry to make all this, because Maharaji were late, that's why.
Well, it's all due to faith in the form of Scandinavian Airlines. We all come from another world.
Moscow instead of
So Shukracharya was advising, don't give. He said, I promised. How could I go back on a promise to a Brahmana? That will bring very bad results. If I give to him, it'll give a good result. And if I promise to give to him, then I don't get to him, that'll be complete destruction. But Shukracharya is saying, but it'll be destruction for all of us, everything. We went to so much trouble. It wasn't that Bali Maharaj just kind of wandered up to the heavenly planets and flipped Indra off the throne. But to gain a big position in this material world, you also have to go on. To gain a position in this material world requires much concentration, endeavor. It wasn't an easy thing just to take over Indra's position. It was a complete flipping of the universal order. So he'd gone to so much effort and so much endeavor and so much planning, and they were successful. All the demons were happy. He was a successful king of the demons. He did what no one had done before. Take over them. So Shukracharya could see now everything's going to be undone. This Vishnu, what he did by killing Hiranyaksha, what he did by killing Hiranyakashipu, he's going to put us all in trouble again. Everything I'm just trying to put the demons on top, and this Vishnu just spoils everything. So he was earnestly telling Bali Maharaj, but I can't tell a lie. You can tell a lie. There are certain circumstances you can tell a lie. For self-protection you can tell a lie. He gave so many reasons. In certain circumstances you can tell a lie. The first one is in seducing a woman. That was the first thing. So for self-protection you can tell a lie. So this is to protect yourself. You can just say, well, I didn't mean it. And anyway, he gave his word, but then there's a system to formally give it. You have to pour some water. So Bali Maharaj took his water pot. He didn't listen to what Shukracharya said. He took his water pot. So Shukracharya took the form of a bug and went inside to stop the water coming. So Bali Maharaj is pouring, said, looking around Shukracharya, what's going on? Shukra, where are you? Tell me what's going on. Because he always takes his advice in performing religious activities. He said, I'm inside the pot, stopping the water coming. Then Lord Vishnu, Vamandev got kusha grass, put it in to make a hole, but it went in the eye of Shukracharya. So when he poured the water, Vashi said, yes, now I'm giving it. So we all know the story. With 2 steps he covered the whole universe. and took everything, showed him this little form, little Brahmin boy. In 2 steps he covered the whole universe. He was saying, I should be satisfied with just what I can take. I shouldn't take too much. With 2 steps he took the whole universe and said, you promised to, what kind of person are you? You promised to give me 3 steps of land, but you don't even have 3 steps of land to give me. What kind of person are you? He was accusing Bali Maharaj that you're making this big announcement, I'm such a great king, I'll give everyone. You can't even give me 3 steps of land. What is this? You're a cheater. Everyone is thinking Vishnu has cheated Bali Maharaj, but he was accusing Bali Maharaj that you have cheated me. I came all this way just to get 3 steps of land, and you promised to give it to me, and you can't even give it. You deserve to be punished. Tie him up! Called Garuda, tie him up. So he's totally humiliated. Then he suggested, I gave away all the land, but I didn't give away me. So now you put your 3rd step on my head. And this is his full surrender. Bali Maharaj is the inspiration for all that we all have to surrender to Krishna. Giving up all attachments. This is the beginning of love, a sign of love, that we are prepared to give up all material attachments. It's not so easy that if suddenly, without any warning, after so much endeavor, we're trying to do something and we eventually do it, and then everything just immediately taken away. No regret from Bali Maharaj. No regret. Lord Vishnu is saying, alright, very good. So he shows what it means, that actually he's, as the king of the demons, he was doing his duty to lead them against the demigods. But actually, secretly, he was already a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. So he was very pleased to give everything to him. And he got the association of Lord Vamandev, who came as his doorkeeper. Lord Vamandev, he put his foot on Bali Maharaj's head, and in this way established his overlordship over Bali Maharaj, or rather Bali Maharaj accepted his position that I am the property of the Supreme Lord. He is my Lord, He is my Master. But the Lord is so kind that if anyone gives himself to Him, to Krishna, that Krishna reciprocally gives himself to that devotee, which is what he did. Even literally, he became the doorkeeper. He became the servant of Bali Maharaj, because Bali Maharaj was so much prepared to give himself to Vamanadev. Vamanadev was completely ready to give himself, and did actually give himself, to Bali Maharaj. So this is cheating, but it's very sweet. It's some game that the Lord is testing. He's testing Bali Maharaj. That, are you ready? What do you want? You want me? Or you want the whole universe? He gave up not only his possessions, but his prestige, his honor. He was so much honored by the demons, but he became derided by them instead. That we went to all this trouble just to put you on the throne, and we're all going to enjoy it with you, and then you're a damn fool, this Brahmin comes, and even our guru, you went against your guru, he warned you, and still, just with a few words, we made so much endeavor for so many years, and just with a few words you got tricked by this little boy, and just spoiled everything. So he was being derided, and he was being derided on one hand by the devotees, that you Come on, you said you give 3 steps and you only give 2. What's wrong with you? So on both sides, he's getting derided. But he remained peaceful. Alright, I did my best. I surrendered to Lord Vishnu, and whatever he does, that's up to him. So, Maro bi Rakho bi Joit Chatoha. Nityadasa Pratitua Adhika. Nijadasa Pratitua. That's Bhakti-Vinod Thakur has taught us that you can kill me or protect me as you desire. I'm your servant and it's up to you. You do whatever you like. Easy to say. We can sing. Maro Birakho. Easy, we can say, but do we actually have that feeling? We actually have that surrender. That we have to cultivate. That we have to cultivate by hearing about Bali Maharaj, singing the songs of Bhakti-Vinod Thakur, and practically in our lives, taking up that mood practically means performing service to Krishna, even when it may not be pleasing to us. We may think, in material life we're always looking to see how there is our profit, our comfort, our sense gratification. We tend to think, well, let me be comfortable for when everything's nice and then I can do some service. That's why Prabhupada gave us nice prasadam. Traditionally, Vaishnavas, nidrahara vihara kadi vijita, we give up eating, sleeping, lead a very austere life. But Prabhupada, alright, take prasadam and then do service. So the idea isn't to take prasadam. The idea is to get the prasadam, the mercy of the Lord, by completely surrendering to Him. But in the beginning especially, there may be it's difficult because we are accustomed to so much sense gratification, especially in the modern age. It's everything we're just brought up in a culture of total hedonism where we can't imagine doing anything unless we get some benefit from it. So we're always thinking how we can be comfortable, how we can have nice food, all this. So, surrender means to act in a manner that we don't care for that, we only care to see how Krishna is comfortable. That well-known story of the gopis, they're ready to go to hell to cure Krishna's headache. Who can imagine? We'll accept so much suffering just to alleviate Krishna's little suffering. Of course, Krishna never has a headache, but that pastime is there. Just to show what is the mood of the devotees. This is their love, that they're not interested in their own personal benefit. But love means that we want to act only for the benefit of the Lord, who takes the position of an incapable, dependent person so that he can accept the love of his devotees. So this is theology, superlative. It's this ordinary religionists, they can't understand. They think God is the order supplier or the upholder of our morality. Some people say, yes, religion is very good because it keeps us moral. But Krishna consciousness means that the highest morality, which often contravenes that supposed morality of the material world, in which we deal with morality in the material world means we deal with each other in such a way that we give each other sufficient room for our sense gratification without impinging upon others' sense gratification more than is ethical. This is mundane morality. But transcendental morality means to act for the pleasure of Krishna, or in Krishna's case, act for the pleasure of his devotees. That's why Krishna, He is ready, even he will break his own promise, but he will see that Bhishma Dev's promise is upheld. That's why this cheating, this apparent cheating, it's not cheating because there's nothing the Lord cannot do, but if there's anything He cannot do, He cannot act in a manner which is not for the benefit of others, because His very nature is that He is everything about Him is all auspicious for everyone. So everything He does, even His killing of others, His cheating, stealing, lying, whoever is fortunate enough to be killed by Him, they're benefited. That doesn't sound possible, but it's a fact that those who are killed by Him, they're very fortunate because He only kills big demons. And they don't have any other hope of salvation, which they get immediately by being killed with Him. Just like we find in Chaitanya Bhagavat that Vrindavan Das Thakur says that anyone who blasphemes Nityananda, I'll kick him in the head. What is that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Trinadapi Sunicha. One should be more humble than a blade of grass. And Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, if anyone doesn't accept Lord Nityananda, I'll kick him in the head. So what kind of humility is that? Well, that is His mercy. If you're so fortunate to be kicked in the head by Vrindavan Das and get the dust of his lotus feet on your head, then it's so fortunate that you're so sinful that you would blaspheme Lord Nityananda, but then He's so merciful to you that He'll very kindly give you the dust of His lotus feet on His head. So this kind of morality doesn't fit with that which is conceived of by worldly moralists. This is Krishna-centric, not anthrocentric, or it's not humanitarianism, it's actual theism. Actual theism begins with understanding that what are the implications of the Supreme being a person. Person, we can only imagine. Many people say, no, the Supreme cannot be a person. They're impersonalists. Because they think, person, you mean something like us? Ugh. That can't be God. Person, you mean a cheater, a rascal, a liar, a thief, a cheat, someone like me? And everyone else in this world? God can't be a person. Or they think, He's a person. Yeah, He's a person. That means He's a person. He must be, very moral and just, and He gives He's like the Supreme, He's like the head of the Communist Party or something. He gives everyone according to what the karma mimamsa idea. You do good acts and God gives you reward. He's sitting there with his computer calculating everything. Said, okay, give me that. All right, you take that. Okay, be good, be nice, smile, be happy. God is good. Busy man, doesn't have time to shave, has a long beard. You've seen the picture? Sistine Chapel. Long white beard. Never had time to shave. So, this is God, according to their imagination. But, God, the supreme pleasure. They think pleasure means He will give us pleasure. Pleasure for Him? No, He's just God, that's all. He's just good. And if you're good, there's no pleasure. So He's just good, that's all. That's all. He's just good. Blesses you. And we enjoy, but He's God, so He can't enjoy. So they've miscalculated. Actually, it's a fact. If you want to enjoy, then you can't be good. So He's a cheater, He's a liar, He's a thief, He's not good. But that goodness, that they can't calculate. Anyone who can appreciate the goodness, Shunu Sukadam Shubhadam, the goodness of the supreme cheater, liar, thief, lover, boyfriend. Anyone who can understand that. You could put Hare Krishna in your cell phone. It would be more transcendental. Anyone who can appreciate that, then they can actually enter into godly existence. The Supreme Lord and His devotees, they will never cheat anyone in a material way. Whereas even the so-called moralists, they're all cheating each other by not giving knowledge of our actual position. The mother, by giving her affection to her child, everyone says, oh, it's very nice. Well, it's kind of nice, but it's also cheating. Because then the child thinks, this is my mother, and the mother thinks, this is my child. And in this way, they're increasing the illusion that we are both enjoyers of this material world. But a devotee, he never cheats others. He gives knowledge of Krishna. He may apparently cheat others in order to give knowledge of Krishna. Just like in many countries, if we have to enter the country to go to preach Krishna consciousness, we'll have to go in non-devotional dress. They'll come in and say, what are you coming here for? Oh, tourism. It's not wholly untrue because we do tour, but it's not tourism in the normal sense. If you say, well, I'm coming here to speak about Krishna consciousness. Very good, sir. Get right back on that plane. And we'll see you later, a lot later, not in this lifetime. Don't come here again. I saw once, in Bangladesh once, we made the mistake of approaching the government to try and get some permission. Later we got it, but then when I went to get my visa extended, I saw my name written on the paper. Give no visa order. Do not extend his visa. So, and then I came to Denmark because I had to get a new passport and everything. So came and spent a little time here in the meantime. So we have to cheat, we have to lie. But the purpose, the means justifies the end. That's a philosophical question. Can the end justifies the means? That's really perverse. Sometimes they say the means justifies the end. But the end justifies the means. If our purpose is to give people knowledge of Krishna, then sometimes we may have to act in a manner which from their perspective appears to be morally wrong. It may appear like that. But it's like the mother gives the child. The mother brings a nice sweet and says, close your eyes and open your mouth. And puts in the bitter medicine. You cheated me. But she knows the child will never take the bitter medicine unless he's cheated. So she does so. From the child's point of view, the mother has become very bad. But the mother knows she has a higher purpose. She has to do it for the child's benefit. Of course, the cheating of Lord Vamandev with Bali Maharaj, that's also for his benefit, but it's not that Bali Maharaj is a conditioned soul who needs to be awakened from illusion, but it's rather, this is Leela, the dealings of the Supreme Lord, in great pleasure with his devotees. He could show, by doing this, the Lord showed to the world what is the quality of his devotee. He's ready at any second to give up his so-called possessions, even to be cursed by his guru. It means being on the spiritual platform, one's even beyond the religious platform. The religious platform means you follow your guru. Of course, in Krishna consciousness we do also. But if the so-called guru is teaching us not to worship Krishna, if he's deviated, then even The Guru should be given up. Lord Vishnu is the supreme goal. There are many things to be learned. We should study Srimad Bhagavatam again and again and again. Probably you're all reading in English, is it? You have it in Danish? Yes. Srimad Bhagavatam? All the cantos? Great. Only 10 cantos. That was Harikesha's policy. He did a good job getting all the books translated, but it is after all complete in 12 cantos, and one should read all 12 cantos. So please read. Now the nasty, cold, dark Danish winter is coming. So, I know, I was here and it was nasty, cold and dark. Enough. Once was enough for me. So I didn't come back for 27 years. So, that's Krishna's arrangement. You can stay indoors and read Srimad Bhagavatam and make your life perfect. Or you can make it even more perfect and help others to be perfect by going out in the cold, dark and nasty Danish winter and distributing it to others also. That's even better. Well, both things should be done. Study Bhagavatam, study Bhagavad Gita and give to others. Hare Krishna. I won't go on much longer because it's quite late, and when I came in there was talk of questions. So if anyone has any questions, please ask. Thank you so much for staying very patiently. Yes, please.
What is Allah and how do you recognize Allah?
How do I recognize Allah? Well, Allah means the all-powerful. It is a primary conception of what in English is called God. In the Vedic scriptures there are several words: Ishvara, Parameshvara, Paramatma, Bhagavan. The full conception is Krishna. Full conception means He's not a conception, but our understanding of Him. In a very primary level, there's the understanding there is Allah, who is not defined and according to Islam, not definable. That's true in one sense, that the Supreme is not definable by any material means. But they take it to an extreme to oppose the understanding that the Supreme is a person. Although I'm told that in the higher levels or esoteric levels of Islam, they also accept that the Supreme is a person. But in mainstream Islam, that's considered heresy. So it's kind of mixed theism and atheism. If we tell it to them, they won't be very happy. But then, generally, at least in my... Well, they're different. I mean, it's not... We tend to, especially in the modern world, there's a lot of stereotyping about Muslims. But then there are different... It's not that everyone's the same. But, they tend to be quite rigid in their understanding. So the point is that there are various levels of God realization. So if we are to study impartially, then we will find that the understanding the Supreme as Bhagavan, full with all opulence, is the Supreme playful Lord. Beautiful, that He's all powerful, which means that means He's a person, because all powerful means a possessor of power. So it means only a person can possess power. He spoke to Muhammad. That means that they're trying to avoid that He's a person, but then if He spoke to Muhammad, then He must have been a person. Must have been to speak, you have to have intelligence, You have to have you have to perceive of oneself as a person to be able to communicate to another person. So, of course they will argue that, but the full understanding of the personality of Godhead is Krishna, as we can see. The pictures are here. So, please study Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam. For our own spiritual development, it's actually not very important to... Are you from an Islamic background? Or?
No, I'm purely Hindu.
Purely Hindu. Then you don't... It's not really necessary for you to... For your own spiritual development, you please study this Bhagavad Gita as it is. You don't need... You out of curiosity, or you may meet Muslims... You may want to know, but for your own spiritual development, there's no need to study Islam, because the understanding given in Gita, and especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, is from the very beginning far more developed than that in Islam. It's only a very vague idea.
That's true. Sorry for interrupting. Always, when you want to know what is good, you have to understand what not. You have to do bad. You have to know what is bad.
No, that's not true. You don't have to become a criminal to become a good citizen. You're taken to court. Why did you smash all the car windows? Well, I wanted to know what it's like to be good, so first I had to be bad. That's very strange logic. The thing is that there are millions of things in this world, and if we think we have to study everything to understand God, that's a misunderstanding. If you think that to understand the king, I have to understand everything in the kingdom, so I'll study everything, every blade of grass, and not study the king, then we won't understand the king. But if we understand the king, then we understand everything in the kingdom also. So you're suggesting a back-to-front process. So the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam give us knowledge of the Supreme Lord, and by understanding Him, we automatically, that knowledge is given of His relationship with all His energies. Natasya karyam karanam ca vidyate natatsamaschavyadikascha drishyate parasya shakti vividhaiva shruyate swabhaviki jnana balakriyacha. He has nothing to do. He's not obliged to work like us. But nevertheless, He, by expansion of His energies, this whole universe is going on. He's not obliged, but by His powers, His natural energies of knowledge, action, and strength, everything is going on. So this knowledge is given in the Vedic literatures. We don't find such advanced understanding as we find in the Vedic literatures. Otherwise there's some vague idea that God is He created the world in 6 days, then He took rest, and He created Adam, then Adam was lonely, so He took a rib from Adam and turned it into a woman, and then she ate an apple, and because of that everyone has to go to hell unless they believe in Jesus. Actually, as a child I found this Christian theology childish. It doesn't satisfy they say you just have to believe, but God has given us intelligence, so it's good that we should use our intelligence to try to understand. But the first intelligent thing should be to recognize that which is substantial. So Christians, you're asking about Islam, I don't know so much, but Christianity, they got their theology screwed up right in the beginning. They say Jesus is God, which He never Himself said. And they said He died for 3 days and came back to. That means God was dead for 3 days? It's primitive theology. This may not be very pleasing to us. We have our notions of everything is good and everything is nice, but actually they're ignorant of God. They say you can't know God. That means they're declaring from the very beginning that we're ignorant and we shall remain ignorant. Only we shall take blessings from Him, that's all. And as far as knowing, So if you don't know, then how can you love? Real religion means to love God, but if you don't know anything about Him, then where's the question of love? And they consider it heretical to even attempt to know Him in any way. Whereas in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matas sarvam prabhadate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samandita. That I am the source of everything emanates from me. Those who know this, they worship me with bhav. Those who are intelligent, they understand this. So bhav, or feelings, come from knowing how great He is. He's so great, but at the same time He's so accessible to us. It is so kind of Him that even though He's so great, we're just insignificant, and He's so great, but still He makes Himself available to us. So like this, Prabhupada, he was in India once and someone asked about the Bible. So Prabhupada said, why are you bothering about the Bible? You take Bhagavad Gita. You can't study everything in the world, so better study that which is best. We have short lives, so better go for the best thing and take that and be benefit. Otherwise, what happens, you read so many things and you just become more confused, that's all.
Actually, is the Christian gods a demigod?
The concept of God is something more like Lord Brahma, actually. They put most emphasis on Him as the creator. Lord Brahma is a sub-creator. But this Mormon religion, which is, it's a concoction on top of a concoction. But they have the idea that you become like that. You become like God. It's another. But again, I wouldn't bother studying all these things too much, because then it's intellectually interesting maybe, but what's the point? We have to cultivate hearing and chanting about Krishna rather than learning more and more about different people's different misconceptions of reality. Better try to understand what is reality. By learning more and more about different people's misconceptions, it doesn't help us to understand what the real thing is. Any amount of studying of plastic won't help us to understand what is gold. So, better take the gold, forget the plastic. Now, of course, you may say, well, everyone says that, there's just fundamentalism. You're just saying yours is best. So, well, you can study all different things, but but be sincere. If you're sincere, then first of all we'll understand that by my own intellect it's definitely not enough to find out the truth anyway. That the books and the teachers are there, but it's not by my own brain I'm going to understand. It requires the mercy of the Lord. So if we're praying for His mercy, to please show me the way to you, if that's our sincere desire, that's what we'll get. Otherwise we might get a PhD in comparative religion or something like that, but that's a very different thing to getting love of God. Yeah.
I have a question about the Bhagavatam. Maharaj Prakshit was out hunting. He was standing in the Bhagavatam out hunting when he was meeting this Swami, or this Brahman, sitting in the hut. But it was written in the Bhagavatam he was hunting, so he was killing animals.
Yeah, Parikshit Maharaj is killing animals.
And
that's
he
right.
was a clean devotee, and
He was a pure devotee. He was killing animals. Well, Kshatriyas used to do that for various reasons. One reason is they have to protect the citizens from bad elements. That means they have to be prepared to fight and kill. Now, unless you're accustomed to killing, you can't just kill. It's a kind of a nasty thing. So you have to be accustomed for that. Another reason is to keep down the population of dangerous animals, which there were many up till recently in India. I mean, still in some places there. Well, tigers and lions are one. In some places, elephants still cause a bit of a nuisance. Not much, but until recently, tigers and lions and wild boars. In Europe also, until not so long ago, there were forests with wolves and dangerous wild pigs. So they would kill them, and They would also kill animals for sacrifice.
And eat?
They may do also. Not regularly, but animals killed in sacrifice, they might do.
But not offering to Krishna.
Well, they offer in yajna, which is, and in yajna, ultimately the yajna book is Vishnu. But it's indirectly offered. And himself, Krishna says, Patrang pushpam palang tvayam, offer me leaf, flower, fruit and water. But meat eating is allowed in Vedic culture under restriction, with the understanding that there will always be some people who are on that level, so better to restrict them and do it in a religious way, so that they can, first of all, it restricts them, so they don't eat meat every day. And at the same time, there's some element of purification is there. That's why in Islam they have halal food. And in Judaism, what's it called in Judaism? They're kosher food. So the idea that says that you should not take the blood of any animal. So it means you shouldn't eat meat, but instead they kill the animals in such a way they drain all the blood out. So they say. I don't think it's possible to drain it completely.
So you can be a clean devotee and eat meat?
Not in this Kali Yuga, but in previous ages they could. Some devotees might do. And there are some, Garuda, he's a snake eater. He's in the form of an eagle. So generally devotees don't eat meat, but some under certain circumstances might do, but not in this age.
I read somewhere Prabhupada jokingly said, those who believe in God, those who do not believe in God, got the three words, it's the dog.
Yeah. Well, Prabhupada would say instead of being attached to G-O-D, they are attached to D-O-G.
Yeah, jokingly he said.
Attached to dog. Well, it's kind of a joke, but it's true also. He was jokingly making a valid point. It's not a joke. It's serious. By being attached to their dog, they become a dog in their next life. So it's very serious, preaching Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada was preaching very strongly. There's the fire of material existence is burning, and Prabhupada wanted to save people from that. The fire is still burning. So we've kind of relaxed since when Prabhupada was here, but Maya hasn't relaxed. She's just as powerful as ever. So we need to go on. Preaching, distributing books, being serious in Krishna consciousness. I'm going to finish now, it's a little late. Oh, there's more questions, all right.
No, I just wanted to ask you that, like you said with the Harikesi Bhakti's books, was one of the ones who got the books translated and distributed, and now we concentrate very much on Vaishnava behavior and the interaction between devotees and loving exchanges like that. And if you could...
yeah, and that's all right, but Vaishnava behavior taught to us by Srila Prabhupada begins with book distribution. Loving exchanges means giving out Prabhupada's books. It's not that the two things are independent of each other, or that one can, suddenly will transform into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and we don't have to distribute books. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission at the present time means distributing Prabhupada's books. That's the Brihat Mridanga. It didn't stop because of some excesses in the past or some neophyte behavior in the past. That doesn't mean that we're going to become great Vaishnavas by forgetting everything that Prabhupada taught us and just kind of bypass Prabhupada and go immediately to Chaitanya Leela or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating or something. It's good, we should cultivate Vaishnava behavior, but we should know that Vaishnava behavior begins with, well, what is that? Jibe Daya Name Ruchi. First thing is merciful to the jivas. And Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada, Yasya Prasada Nagati Katovi. By the mercy of the spiritual master we get the mercy of Krishna. So being nice to each other is good. I mean, it's not the highest thing. Being nice is just normal human behavior. And Vaishnava behavior of being nice is on a completely different platform to that of the worldly moralists who smile at each other while they're eating meat, and they smile at each other, and then while they're plotting against each other, they're actually envious. So Vaishnava relationships develop best when we endeavor together to serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then the strong relationship is bonded. It's not by reading Stephen Covey's books or something we're going to become great devotees. But by serving the mission of the Acharyas, we get their blessings. So, it's good if we become well behaved, but we should know that that is a actual good behavior. For the first thing is not defined in terms of worldly morality. And another thing is that all the qualities of devotees develop in those who try to develop. The first thing is surrender, and then everything else follows. So, again, there have been excesses in the past, but if you say we're trying to develop Vaishnava behavior and not so much preaching and book distribution, then I say, well, what's the Vaishnava behavior? Is it just behavior, or is it Vaishnava behavior? Because Vaishnava behavior means to serve the mission of the spiritual master. And there's no doubt that Prabhupada emphasized distribution of his books is the most compassionate. It may not seem very good Vaishnava behavior to go on the street and try and extract money from people. It seems kind of materialistic, doesn't it? And give them a book, they didn't want it. Oh, I don't have enough money to buy my bacon now. Oh. So it might seem that it's not, but real Vaishnava behavior means to be aggressive for Krishna. Just like Prabhupada said, I was aggressive. No one asked me to come to the West. And Prabhupada said, if they'd have known what I was coming to do, they would have never allowed me in the country in the first place. So, developing Vaishnava behavior is good, but it's not the essence of our mission, that we try to develop good behavior, but rather we serve the mission of the Acharyas, and dealing with each other nicely is part of that, but it's not all. If we're just, nice with each other, that doesn't add up to serving the mission of the Acharyas. That's not all in all. So, it might seem that, that's really in the mode of passion, now we shall become in the mode of goodness, but it could be that book distribution is done in the mode of passion, but better than throwing out the baby with the bathwater is come to the proper understanding and do it come to the transcendental platform and do it like that. Just like even when Prabhupada was present, there was that group of Siddha Swarup, and they were disciples of Prabhupada, but they were kind of separate, and they said, well, we don't like, you see, these others, they're distributing books and they agitate people, and we don't like, we're better, we're more pure. Well, Prabhupada's response was, no, but they're following the order of the spiritual master. If you think that they're not doing it in a very good way, you show them how to do it better, but you don't avoid the order of the spiritual master. Because they were into being very nice with people, and we don't do raucous kirtans on the street. They would go out in their jeans and play guitar and sing very gently, Hare Krishna, whereas the devotees who are distributing books would come on Saturday night with all the big wampers jumping around, Hare Krishna, and then look, they're in the mode of passion. And Prabhupada said that, well, then they're in a better position because they're following the order of the spiritual master. So if you think that they're not doing it well, you do it, you show them how to do it better, but you don't give up the order of the spiritual master and concoct your own idea of what is Krishna consciousness. So, Yes, let us be nice Vaishnavas, but not by giving up book distribution. Is that what you said?
No, I was just asking you.
It's emphasis. Yeah, well, I don't know if I got it right, but anyway, I made a point. Important point. Yeah.
Is it wrong to say Hare Krishna nicely?
No, it's not wrong, but it's wrong in the name of, in whatever name, to say that if that was what was being said, that we should emphasize more on being nice than on distributing Prabhupada's books. Right? We should understand what being nice means. Being nice means to give the knowledge by which people can learn about Krishna. Now, it's definitely better to do that nicely, to distribute books in a manner, as Prabhupada himself said, in a manner that people are not agitated. There's no reason, we shouldn't do it in a way that people are agitated, but to not do it, that is violence. To stop the preaching of Krishna consciousness is violence. The worst violence is to stop the preaching of Krishna consciousness. It means that those who stop the preaching, those who are not preaching Krishna consciousness, they're worse than Hitler, Stalin, Kentucky, what's his name, Colonel Sanders. It's all, they're violent, but everyone who's not teaching Krishna consciousness is violent. Because even in our so-called niceness, if we fail to give knowledge to people of how they can become free from birth and death, and they have to suffer terribly birth after birth by not knowing Krishna. So real morality, real goodness is preaching Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. People are leaving. It's late. Hare Krishna. Well, one time this devotee asked, why are you so heavy, Maharaj? He said, look, we got to use every second in Prabhupada's service. Any inefficiency or any waste of time by us means that the mission to spread Krishna consciousness is being impeded. So he couldn't tolerate devotees wasting time, wasting energy, wasting money. Just everything should be in order so we can do our service. So difficult to tolerate unless we're in the same consciousness and understanding. If we're thinking what is good for my sense gratification, then we'll try to find some comfortable position where everyone's nice, and first everyone should be nice, then we'll be Krishna conscious. But in fighting a war, which actually Prabhupada used that analogy so many times, there's no we can't. Of course, Prabhupada was very tolerant in many ways, but he was also very heavy in many ways because he was pushing. He said, "This is a pushing movement." So many devotees said, I'd love to be with Prabhupada, but I don't know how many of us could tolerate. Not that many devotees. Prabhupada's personal servants, they mostly didn't stay with him very long. They found him difficult to tolerate because he was very, very strong, very forceful. So that mood came through to his followers also, and without the same level of purity as Prabhupada, that sometimes was misused, but at the same time the movement was spread and Prabhupada was pleased by the movement being spread. So, I don't know, maybe I got a bit of allergy because I was brought up in southern England where it's similar to here. People are very nice, but at the same time underlying it all is envy and sarcasm, and so the niceness is only on the surface, and I hated that hypocrisy. I was actually quite happy when I joined the movement that people are real. Their niceness is not just a show, but they're so nice to you that they'll yell at you if you don't get up in the morning. Hope someone yells at me tomorrow. So Krishna consciousness is sweet, there's no doubt, but But we should be careful to distinguish between mundane sweetness. It's very easy to fall into that. And the sweetness that comes from the surrender, which means giving up attachments and working hard for Krishna. In the absence of genuine and powerful spiritual leaders, we tend to fall into worldly morality. We become religious. We become a religious movement instead of a spiritual movement. What, to become a religious movement? Yeah, you're right. Let's get out. It's the last thing. Religion is the last resort of scoundrels. Well, who is it? Samuel Johnson said politics is the last the last resort of rascals. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said religion. Religion is he said that the religious institutions, they I can't remember exactly the words, they foster, what exactly the words? Wrongdoing or evil on a level that even the most pious atheists couldn't imagine. The church that has the best chance of survival in this damned world is that of atheism posing as theism. Very interesting observations. So unless there's the endeavor to surrender, then we end up believing in God, which is a disaster. Because believing in God, the conceptualized God, instead of surrendering to Krishna, becoming religiously believing in God, that's not Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada didn't start the International Society for God Consciousness. He came to give us love of Krishna, which begins with surrender to Krishna. So just believing in some kind of idealized God, we have no substantial connection to him. Just some theory you can think about him in any way you like. This is religion. Then we go to the interfaith conference and discuss, and we come back and there's no difference, and no one goes even an inch forward in love of Krishna. It's all theoretical. So, Vaishnava relationship, good, yes, very good, but let's not make it all theoretical. I can say the deepest relationships I know are with devotees who, we took all kinds of risks and difficulties and for preaching Krishna consciousness, including things like, lying and what are you coming for? Tourism and pretending we're tourists and all, so many things. Not lying as a policy, but when required. Taking all kinds of risks. I remember Hari Kesh saying that once. No, was it Hari Kesh? Yeah. He said, now that the Soviet bloc has broken down in Krishna, he said there's no more bliss there anymore. There's a lot of bliss when you're risking. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said the only place left is China now. There's more chance to surrender in difficulty. Like Bali Maharaj. I'm sure he was very religious before Vamandev. He used to say his prayers. But he had the chance to surrender. It wasn't easy. Koshtana korle keshto milibena.